All right, it's time for our bunker bracket breakdown after the first round. I'm here with 24/7 Sports' Rusty Mansell. Rusty, let's start in 7A as we look at some of these matchups. Lowndes at Westlake next week and Norcross at Grayson.
You talking about seniors versus the sophomores. This team is loaded. This is all the Under Armour All-Americans, a very, very senior team. That is going to be a very interesting matchup.
Walton at Hillgrove next week.
Oh, great matchup here. Coach Ironside versus Coach Bruner, both great teams. I like the matchup. Dominique Blaylock, Georgia wide receiver commit versus Jalen McCullough, Tennessee defensive back commit.
All right, Mill Creek and Milton next week. Tift County goes to East Coweta. And how about a couple old region mates, Archer at Parkview?
Old school. You know, there'll be a lot of alumni in the bleachers that have interest in this two games. Gwinnett County, old school tradition. The new school, kind of the old school tradition. Big battle up there.
McEachern at Colquitt County. They played in the semifinals 2 times, most recently in 2014. Bad blood kind of there.
You know, some whippings by Colquitt County. So they're going to take Carlos Del Rio, sophomore wide receiver, down into a great environment in Moultrie. Big-time test for McEachern.
All right, and West Forsyth at the defending champs, North Gwinnett. That'll round out our 7A bracket. Moving on to 6A, Valdosta at Glen Academy, Allatoona at Tequila, and then Northside Warner Robins upsets Tucker in the first round. Will host Bradwell Institute.
Tells you two tough teams traditionally. Running teams, play defense. I like Northside Warner Robins in this bracket. I want to see what they can do to finish off to move into the next round.
Sequoia at Creekside next week. Coffee upsets Stevenson. They'll go to Richmond Hill, and then Harrison at Lanier in the second round.
Lanier didn't have a great season. They'll be the first one to tell you that. But Zach Calzada, the Texas A&M quarterback commit, can lead them further. How about Matt Dickman and his staff without Justin Fields advancing again, beating a #1 seed who had a great year in Johns Creek.
South Georgia, Effingham County is at Lee County, and Habersham Central gets the win on the road, and they will go to Creekview's having a solid year.
All the coaches will hate me for this, but looking forward, #2 in the state, #1 in the state if it happens. Next week, 1 versus 2 could happen.
They will shoot you if you talk about the next round. All right, moving on to 5A. We will see Kell at Buford next week, a rematch of the 2016 semifinals.
I've talked about it. I absolutely think this is a game to pencil next week. Senior quarterback Evan Conley, committed to App State versus Buford. Spread teams have given Buford problems. We'll see next week if this senior quarterback can lead this upset.
New Hampstead, a 4 seed, beats Stars Mill, so they will go to Stockbridge next week. And Loganville at Carrollton, who goes on the road and beats Riverwood, who's kind of trying to get things figured out.
It's like the NCAA tournament. It's about guards. This is about quarterbacks. Freshman quarterback M.J. Morris leads a huge win against Riverwood tonight. Let's see if he can do it again versus Loganville. M.J. Morris, freshman quarterback at Carrollton.
Dutchtown and Griffin, a couple of old powers. Griffin usually used to be in the one beating up on everybody, but Dutchtown, the new kid on the block. Cedar Shoals at Rome next week. It doesn't look like much trouble for Rome.
I saw Cedar Shoals play early in the year. When you're a running team and you're playing Rome, that is not a good matchup.
Ware County at Warner Robins next week, and then a Saturday game waiting on Clark Central and Arabia Mountain to see who will play East Paulding, who upset another #1 in Banneker. 4A bracket, Woodward at Mary Persons next week, and Marist at St. Pius. These teams playing for the 55th time. Pius already beat them earlier this year, but Marist won last year in the playoffs.
Marist is going to be a tough out. I have to believe Marist is going to be a tough out right here. I love this rematch game. A lot of Atlanta area alumni. This is a game that starts talking tonight. They'll talk all week. I love that.
Only one side of the stadium at St. Pius. You better get there early. Columbus at Baldwin goes to Milledgeville next week. Ridgeland at Cartersville should be interesting. Those two teams ranked all year.
Yeah, battle of Northwest Georgia, extreme Northwest Georgia. Ridgeland all the way on the Tennessee line. A lot of speed. I saw them early in the year playing Calhoun. They had to replace a lot of guys. They're very polished right now. Cartersville, saw them last week. They're peaking at the right time. Junior quarterback, remember the name, T. Webb.
All right, on the other side of this bracket, Burke County at Eastside, North Oconee at defending champions Blessed Trinity. And North Oconee, interesting story.
Yeah, you look at North Oconee, you talk about Kevin Scher, who has his twin sons. Kevin Scher takes a job at Tennessee for Jeremy Pruitt, defensive coordinator, decides to make the family decision. They leave the 2 senior twin quarterback, wide receiver at North Oconee, and that changed their whole season. They're going to play the defending state champs, but what a decision for North Oconee. That was a bonus for them.
They'll see what they're made of next week. Upson Lee lost late to Thompson. That was the first time they got to host in a while. Ending of a pretty nice career there for Trayvon Walker.
Yeah, you look at the state's top overall prospect, and look, they're back-to-back defending basketball state champions. So football is kind of getting those guys in shape. But Trevon Walker's football career in high school ends. He'll get to play in the All-American game in Texas. But you look at that game right there, Thompson and Cairo, two very physical teams traditionally.
And Pickens gets their first playoff win ever. It doesn't get easy with Troop coming to town.
I saw Troop play Cartersville last week. I know that score looked bad, but you want to talk about a very, very athletic team. Kobe Hudson and all those guys, that's going to be a tough out in this bracket.
All right, let's move down. Look at the 3A bracket. Jackson at Pierce County, Dawson County at Monroe area next week. Monroe area, a 1 seed and definitely looking like it.
A lot of teams are telling me, I talked to a lot of these different teams, Monroe area is a team that may not be getting the publicity they deserve. They are the sleeper team, in my opinion, in this 3A bracket.
I'm looking at the other side of this bracket. Westside Macon at Benedictine. North Hall goes on the road and gets the win. It will be at Cedar Grove. And, again, we hate to look ahead, but Benedictine and Cedar Grove could be fun.
I mean, you look at that team, they have dominated AA. They got moved up to AAA. You're talking about a team that won the state championship a couple years ago. You could see that, but don't get us in trouble this early.
All right, other side of the 3A bracket, you got Liberty County going to Fort Valley next week. Westminster and GAC. This should be a fun one. A couple private schools, but not playing the same really kind of football.
Yeah, GAC went through some growing pains this year, but you look at the Hinton brothers, 2 5-stars, and they've got a hidden gem, I think, in Tyler James, a senior wide receiver a lot of people don't know anything about. He has great tape. It will be a problem for Westminister to match up with him. That'll be a key decision in how they handle that.
Our former High Five Sports Team of the Week, Pike County, as a 4 seed, goes to Cordeal and gets the win. Congratulations to them as they're playing in the memory of Dylan Thomas and will continue for another week. They'll go to Savannah and take on Jenkins next week. And then Lovett at Calhoun. These teams seem like they're always in the playoffs.
And traditionally built the same way. Not overly athletic teams, but extremely well coached. You look at Mike Muschamp, who will bring Lovett into Calhoun versus Howland. Defending state champions. I saw him play 2 weeks ago. Again, senior quarterback Gavin Gray. I really, really like Calhoun in this game.
All right, finally, 2A bracket. Fitzgerald at Swainsboro next week. Chattooga at Rabun County. Thomasville at Dublin. Douglas Astros go to Heard County. Not going to be easy next week. Dodge County at Jefferson County. Bremen and Rockmart will be fun. Washington County at Brooks County. And then the game you've been talking about all night. You were talking about when the brackets came out. Callaway at Hateful Charter. Callaway, they're a 2, but not really a 2.
Yeah. Hateville Charter definitely knows what they're about to play next week. Callaway knows what they're about to play. This, of all the games on every bracket, in my opinion, is a state championship caliber match in round 2 next week in Atlanta.
That's a must-see as they play over at Banneker High School. All right, it's Class A Public. Let's go quickly. Commerce, winners in the first round, go to Mitchell County. Miller at Irwin County. Chattahoochee County at Greene County. Emmanuel County at Pelham. Tryon at Schley. Montgomery County at Marion, Charlton County at Clinch County, Dooley County waiting on a final there. Will take on Mount Zion Carroll, and then the private bracket, Holy Innocents at Calvary Day, Mount Vernon at top seed Athens Academy, Brookstone Christian Heritage waiting on a final, but will be at North Cobb Christian. Wesleyan at Prince Avenue Christian should be fun. And then Riverside Military, they kind of shot onto the scene winning our game of the week over Commerce last week. They've really improved.
I'm going to be honest with you. Watching tape this week, I saw them. They are very athletic. And I'll mention one quick thing on the left side. There's always a little bit of buzz. Prince could play Athens in the semis.
Oh, that would be fun, wouldn't it? Aquinas at Darlington next week, and Trinity at Eagles Landing Christian, who's always the team to beat. All right, want to thank Rusty Manziel for breaking it down bunker style. We'll see you next week.